step right up. Any of you who have the time. Our super dimension warp is the invention of the century, and now you can experience it on this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitors, fluxing, crew to stations, scanning for Chrono Trigger 1995. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the master soundboarder interrupter powers.
Hey, Francisco, I'm so excited to be on our 10th anniversary episode.
Oh, yay.
I can't believe it, 10 years.
I know, right? How did that happen? Where'd these 10 years go by?
It's crazy.
But so glad you're here, Paul. Thank you for 10 years. Also, for this episode and this discussion of the game Chrono Trigger, we welcome aboard for the first time variety streamer and content creator, Aki. Hey, Aki.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Glad you're here, Aki. In addition, we are glad to have back aboard pastor and content creator, Dustin Phillips, a.k.a. Dustin. Hey, Dustin.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. Excited for tonight. It's going to be fun.
Yay. And finally, we have back on the ship our games correspondent and tactics officer, Quitos Ruiz. Hey, Quitos.
Yeah, nice to be back, and especially for this game.
Indeed. Unless it's a tragic, in which case, why? But one more announcement before we continue. Before our final rain tonight, we'll be doing a giveaway for a Chrono Trigger poster. Paul, are you able to show that at all, or is it?
Yeah,
do you have
basically like what we have in our background, especially Keithos, is it's a big one. It's like huge. It's the same. It's a 2 by 3 feet poster. It's awesome. Quality detail, cool. Good quality.
So we'll be taking names of anyone who wants to be in the giveaway. You have to be live to get it. Here before our final rain, we'll be saying, hey, type in this thing, and then we'll be taking those names, and then you can be entered into that drawing, and we'll do the drawing right after that, so you won't have to wait that long.
Well, it was high quality before I manhandled it. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Well, now it's even more special. It has Paul's fingerprints all over it, so you could clone your own Paul, maybe.
Limited edition.
Yeah, customized just for you.
Can you sign it, Paul, with like all across it, pauljpowers.com?
No. There we go. Yes.
Anyway, now that you have a not so quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Chrono Trigger?
All right. Chrono Cross was released. What? Did I play the wrong game again?
Yeah, you played the wrong game. Chrono Trigger. It's to sequel.
All right. Chrono Trigger. Should have told me that months ago instead of. All right. Was released March 11th, 1995 in Japan, and the average time it takes to beat is reportedly 23 hours straight. Right. The first time.
Yeah, that's about how long it took me to beat it. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's rated E for everyone and is directed by Takashi Tokita, Yoshinori Katase, Akihiko Matsui. I'm sorry for butchering names.
I feel like you're doing pretty good so far.
The programmers who were Katsuhisa Higuchi. I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce your Higuchi. Kaizo Kokubo, with artists being Akira Toriyama.
You should have this one, Paul.
I'm sorry. I read it a lot. I don't say it a lot out loud. Akira Toriyama. Yeah, he turns into a big blob. I've seen that movie. And Yosuhiko Kamata, Masanori Hishino, and Tetsuya Takahashi. The music was composed by more names I will butcher. Yasunori Matsuda and Nobuo Umatsu. Are you ready for the box office trivia?
So close.
I am ready. Deuce and Kitos and Aki, are you guys ready?
Oh
I'm
man,
ready.
I think Dustin and I were about as triggered as his pronouncing of Akira Toriyama as everybody else. So it's like,
Come on, Paul, you got this, please.
All right.
Go ahead, Paul. And anyone live in chat, well, you're welcome to join as well.
Unfortunately, neither the budget nor the profit loss margin amount for Chrono Trigger could be substantiated, since precise records were not kept after Tannen shot a newspaper editor who printed an unfavorable story about him in 1884.
Of course.
However, the game the game is well received by players and critics alike, often in the 90 percentiles, and won numerous awards, including Best Super NES Game, Best Role-Playing Game, Best Music in a Cartridge-Based Game, Best Epic Story, Best Ending, Coolest Transportation, being the Epic, and it also won the Worst Baddie, being the Juggler.
Okay. Interesting. Is that it?
Yeah, there's no trivia. I mean, no box office guessing, because it's not in the box office, and I couldn't find any.
What do I have for that? What do I have for that, Paul?
What?
I have this. For you not having one.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my internet skills couldn't dig up the dirt on it. But it sells a lot of copies. Billions and millions of copies.
Well, thank you for those somewhat factoids, Paul, and let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target game.
Alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
ドリームプロジェクトドラゴンボールの鳥山明ドラゴンクエストの堀井雄二ファイナルファンタジーの坂口裕信僕らの夢が今時空を超えるクロノトリガー予約キャンペーン実施中スクエアソフト新発売
what were those subtitles?
I mean, I was wondering what that.
Lose your luggage. No, I'm like, what?
But I love the Japanese pronunciation of some of those words.
Yes.
Chrono
Trigger. That commercial definitely brings back some memories about Chrono Trigger, even though the subtitles were wonky. But to give you some context for the things we collectively remembered most about our replay, here is our memory mind meld synopsis for Chrono Trigger. First, the story. A spiky redhead fellow who has a quirky inventor friend who accidentally invents time travel with the princess's pendant, and while adventuring around time, they find a robot and a frog knight that got bullied, cursed, and then found the courage to forgive. Then they also have to fix the past in order to defeat some evil Time Lord guy who will destroy the Earth in the future. Also, there's a princess that he bumps into at a fair and then reunites with him on Death Peak. Excuse me. For gameplay and mechanics, we remember map to walk to different villages, gain hit points and magic points with more experience to buy upgraded weapons and armor, and learn advanced fighting moves with more powerful hits. Classic turn-based RPG leveling mechanics, but find baddies with characters looking at each other on the screen in a top-down view for battles instead of loading to a different battle screen of side by side to side like other JRPGs. Plus cool techniques and combo attacks. You never forget the first time unlocking a triple combo attack. Mine was Chrono, Marl, and Frog. Arc Impulse. And for multiplayer, sadly no multiplayer that I can remember, but a sibling starting a game save and doing things right after watching you mess up. Well, I mean, some of those were accurate, but... I
like the Time Lord who tried to destroy Earth.
Yeah, I was quite that. So some of these memories were deceptive. But based on those memories, as so flawed as they were, what range did they lead you to predict for this game before replaying it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Paul.
I've played this a few times before, and it's classic. I predicted classic replayed it before I replayed it again.
Okay. How about you, Aki? What was your prediction? Not your final rating, but your prediction before you went into playing this.
So
I'm sure this is your first time playing this game, right?
Oh, it's absolutely my first time playing this game. I did repeatedly play it in high school until 3-4 in the morning, over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess it would be a classic. So
Classic. Okay. Kitos, how about you?
I definitely thought it'd be nostalgic. Since I've played a ton of RPGs past Chrono Trigger at this point, so I was like, it probably won't meet up to today's standards. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fair. How about you, Justin? What was your prediction?
Yep, definitely predicted a classic. So we'll
classic.
see.
All right. And my prediction was tragic. No, just kidding. It was not tragic at all. It was a classic. Because I remember it fondly from when I played it in, I think it was middle school when I probably played it first. And we rented it, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. But then I never went back to it until I played it recently in preparation for this podcast.
That's quite a gap. Because when you rent this game, you don't get a lot of playthrough then.
Well,
unless you rent it every day. I
got to where you first meet Melkor, I think. And you have to figure out how to make the Masamune blade. But I never really got.
Hey, did I pronounce that right? Masamune?
Isn't it Masamune?
Yes, I think it is. I think that's the point.
Dang
yes,
it's Masamune, Paul. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So it'll be interesting.
First time here, so I'm going to be nice.
It'll be interesting to see if these predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked most about Chrono Trigger. So let's spin up our
best bets.
And since like you said, Aki, it's your first time here, let's begin with you. What's one thing you liked about Chrono Trigger in this, particularly in your most recent playthrough, but it could be from any playthrough back in 4 a.m. in high school?
Sure, absolutely. I think for me the most iconic thing in the game, the thing I keep coming back to, is the music. It's not my classic maker, but it's real close. It's real close. Okay. The music was, and if you read about the composer and what he did to prepare for this project, it's really fascinating, the story behind the music of Chrono Trigger.
I don't read, so what did it say?
well, actually, can we put pause on that, because that goes into our trivia question for later.
Good. Then I'll have Francisco read it to me then.
Okay.
Well, but Aki can flesh it out more, I'm sure. But
okay,
I'd love.
So between both of you, it'll be a good story time.
There you go.
But the music, was there a particular track you really gravitated towards or resonated with you, Aki?
Frog's theme, without question.
Frog's theme is good. There's so many good songs in this. It was the music was one of my likes too. It's so good. Mm-hmm. I have the original soundtrack and the orchestral. I actually prefer the original over the orchestral, just because playing this game so much.
Yes.
Yeah, Frog I would say is number 3 for me. I like Robo's theme just a little bit better. But my favorite is that winning the bike theme. Great.
I would say if I had to pick a number 2, probably the little tune when you meet Robo Johnny. That little ditty. That was probably number 2 for me.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
For years and years, I had my cell phone. My ringtone was the Wind theme from 600 AD. That was my kids. Whenever I was playing through it recently, they heard that and they were like, "Is your phone ringing?" I was like, "No," because they're so used to hearing that. That was my ringtone for years and years.
That's awesome. Well, why don't you call us up with your Houston? That's
where you were going. All right. Help you bridge that gap. All right. Yeah. My first like would be the battle system, like the overworld battle system specifically. I enjoy RPGs, but I hate random battles. I hate when you're just walking through a field or a cave, and then you go into this entirely different view to do a battle. But I love seeing, I can battle those things or I can avoid those things.
Yes.
And man, I love having that kind of control over it, because I like clearing out an area in any game I'm playing. So if I can see everything, I know everything's cleared out, and then I can just run around freely. I love that. It's so nice to not have it so segmented.
Absolutely, yes. For me, I just going off that a little bit more. I adored the combat in this. For one reason was, like you said, Deucin, because you could see all the enemies that you're fighting. Sometimes they did lock you in, like you'd try to go past some, and then it's like, whatever that sound is. It was just like that.
They blitz you? They come at you out of the bushes or something?
There were a couple areas where there were like hidden triggers. I used to like know what all of those were. And you had to like go around the hidden trigger to prevent the enemies from popping out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. I didn't know you could do that. Okay.
Well, why would you avoid a fight so you don't level up? I mean,
let's not get into that right now, Paul.
I noticed even some of the triggers, it was like the opposite of what you thought. If you'd walk around them, you'd trigger it. But if you walked right next to them and right through them, it wouldn't trigger. I was like,
okay, interesting. But beside that point, I really enjoyed the combat in this. I liked how I like the time battle system. I think there's a way to change it to be. There's some different variations on at least the version I played. I played the Steam version.
Yeah, the active
of it this time.
Wait.
Yeah, exactly. But I like that there is a tech system. There is the way to combo the attacks was so cool. I just really it was a fun combat system. So I really enjoyed that they had that right in this RPG. So I feel like that could really make or break RPG if it's a great story, but the main like thing you're doing of combat is like dumb.
The mechanics of getting through the story.
Let's go to Kitos next. What's something you liked about Chrono Trigger?
Man, you guys like hit so many things that I like. If I have to pick just another man, I'd say the fact that there's different endings. Because you don't necessarily see that all the time. Yep.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Multiple endings. Yeah. Besides just
multiple.
Dying.
But then again, the future refused to change.
That's right.
Since I've only experienced one ending, I'm curious what endings. Let's take a tangent. Say like, what were some of your guys' favorite?
You never
endings?
got a game
I'd like
over?
to hear about them.
You only got one ending. You made it all the way through and never got a game over.
No,
you got two endings.
Well, that's what saving is for, and then rewinding.
Okay, fine, fair. I got two endings. I'm sure I gamed over at some point, but fine. I got one good ending, not you died ending. But I'm curious, what are some of your favorite endings? I think I just got the generic ending, the one the most people get, but I don't even know if that's the case. So Kitos, what ending did you get, or do you have a favorite of the ones you've experienced?
So it's kind of hard to say because I think I got the generic one, but I ended up like seeing a couple different endings just because I was so curious.
Oh, okay.
And I looked,
where did you see the other ending?
Yeah, just on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
And I looked, and I guess I got a generic one, but I got an alternative to the generic one.
Yeah.
So it's really
there's
interesting.
Variations on them.
Exactly. There's the endings, and then there's variations of those endings too. So it's like a whole other thing. But I can tell you, like, one of the main events that happened in mine is I didn't have Magus.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys have him or not.
Is he the guy with the scythe?
He's the vampire.
Yeah.
You have to intentionally go back and recruit him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got him, but I never used him.
Oh, I got. Yeah. There's different ones where he can join you, or you can like even kill, or I think you can.
Yeah,
kill
I vanquished him.
You?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Vanquished him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. So how about
that? I think that changed my ending a bit.
Oh,
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Aki? Do you have a memory, an ending that you prefer, or is it the general one?
So, spoilers in case you're ever going to go back and experience.
We're in spoiler section right now, anyway. But yeah,
my absolute favorite ending is after you've beat the game. If you do New Game Plus, you go back to the Millennial Fair.
Yeah,
there's a portal.
Yeah,
that you can take that takes you immediately to Lavos, and you can immediately fight Lavos again.
Really?
And then it takes you into this secret room with animated characters of all the developers that you can hear things that they have to say about the game. And how
really?
And all that stuff. It was an amazing ending.
Is that the one where it says that they think you played this game too much? You need to go outside. One of the guys says that. Yeah,
that's funny.
So that was definitely my favorite.
That's great.
let's end this little tangent with you, Deucin. What's your favorite ending?
Yeah, well, Aki already said it, so I'll say my second favorite because that one is amazing. It's so cool. And I can't actually remember which ending it triggers, but the way that you get this ending is by playing through the game normally in New Game Plus, and whenever you fight Lavos for the first time in the Undersea Palace, if you beat him there, the ending that you get from that is so satisfying because in your first playthrough, whenever you die at that moment, that's not a scripted thing. You can win that fight, even on your first playthrough. It's insanely difficult, but it's so satisfying to go back in New Game Plus, play through just normally to that point, and then beat him there. It feels so good. So I love doing that.
That's awesome.
Have you beat Lavos with your character powered up, but you have the wooden sword that you start the game with?
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, that's a challenge. I haven't been able to do that. I tried that once, and I'm like, no, this is not working. I'm dying.
It is interesting because in some RPGs, your stats are so independent of your weapons, you could possibly pull that off. But in Chrono Trigger, the weapons are so crucial to your character that that would be really tough.
Yeah, because you would even if you have all the best armor and everything, most of that is like defensive buffs. It would be really tough. That would be a fun challenge. I mean, you'd still have all your magic, but
yeah, but you can't use it. Like, I mean, you can't use your like Luminaire and all that. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to something else that was magical about this game. Give us something else you liked, Paul.
I already mentioned the music. The characters I thought were so interesting. All the different from the different time periods and everything. Just a wide variety, and it was and how some of them interact. Like you could, depending on who you talk to, you get different things. I mean, some of these characters are not just NPCs that say the same thing over and over. Depending on who you talk to, you get a different storyline. So it's really imaginative. The wide, I'd say the cast of I'm trying to avoid. Oh, they're not two-dimensional, but they are. You know what I mean? They seem like really fleshed out, like a rich.
There's a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you don't often find that out in a lot of games, especially such wide worlds.
Yeah, and that's one of my likes too, and that goes something that I'll say to that is that even though they are two-dimensional, they seem to do so much storytelling and just little bits throughout this game. The thing that I found the most compelling was when you have that flashback. Luna's fixing the robot. And you go, she I guess goes back into her memory, and it's the time where she could save her mom from dying. Yeah. And I thought that was gut wrenching to me. I was really captivated.
Especially if you don't save the mom, it's gut wrenching.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I did.
Yeah. My first playthrough, I did not save it. Save her. Sorry.
So there's moments like that, moments like where the robot is, and what's the canonical name of the robot?
Robo.
Okay.
I call him Robo, but I thought you were talking about the call sign letters.
No, I called him 1337 in mine, but okay, Robo. I loved when Robo decided he was going to help replant the forest, and like how he sacrifices himself for that. Just things like that.
That was
such
a
really
cool moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely can agree with you, Paul, about the characters. Kitos, what's something else you liked about the?
Well, that what you just said kind of touched on another like of mine is how interactable the world was. You could actually change time. You could change the course of events that happen, and it would change things into the future. And it was just, I can't name a game where you can go back in time and change stuff like that and have it like affect grand scale type of things.
Right.
Like, a forest is there and a forest is not. Like, I can't think of a game like that. So this is the only one, and I was just blown away by that. Just that whole robot, building the forest, or that's so cool. Yeah.
Well, we should ask Paul, since he spent all this time he didn't have to playing Chrono Cross. Is Chrono Cross like that, Paul?
Not at all. Chrono Trigger is way better.
Aki, what were maybe the characters or the game mechanics or the time travel, any of those, something else you liked, or was it something completely else?
Well, and I think a lot of the things you've said are a lot of things that I like about it. I think something that I kind of focused in on is the time travel aspect, and that's not necessarily present in a lot of games. You talk about decisions and actions that you take kind of change the world and shape the world, as you're going through the game. And I think about Mass Effect is obviously very similar in that regard, right? All the decisions that you make in the Mass Effect series as you're building up until you get to 3 and they ruin it, completely impact, the games. So, but I think that one thing that was interesting, you kind of touched on this a little bit, Francisco, is, Luca's mom, when you go and you either save her, don't save her, that impacts the ending.
Right.
You
either see her in the wheelchair or see her healed in the ending.
Yeah, she's
depending on whether or not you save her. Yeah, so that's a really interesting.
There's so many things like that. Yeah,
there's every little thing you do in time travel. It's just really neat.
Yeah. If you don't,
go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead. I was going to say, if you don't free the Chancellor, there is no parade. Yep. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to go up and open the chest, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It boggles my mind how the attention. I mean, I again, this is my first time playing through this in preparation for the podcast, so I don't have a lot of the wealth of experience you guys have, but just hearing about all the attention to detail and all these little facets is just boggles my mind that so much care went into this game that was as far as I know, a completely original IP. It wasn't like, oh, we gotta reboot this to the upteenth power or anything. It was just like, no, this is our. It makes me wonder if it's a passion project. I don't know if any of you know enough about it to speak to that, if it was or not, or
it may have been, because with Squaresoft at the time, a lot of the developers were also working on the Final Fantasy series, but you have people like Akira Toriyama that they brought onto this project that did the Dragon Quest games, right? Obviously, Dragon Ball and all that as well. Yeah, just to see all of the little touches and how they all came together was just.
Yeah. So it kind of, they went to the US to research computer graphics, and the creators of Dragon Ball and Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, those 3 people went to the US and they to research graphics, and they decided, hey, on that trip, let's do something that's never been done before. Let's combine all these 3 into one game. So that's the birth of it.
Okay. Right. Wow. Craziness.
I think if I had to guess, I think the reason it's probably so good is because there were a bunch of people all together who are all just, top of their field, or not even field, but just amazing developers who all got in a room and were like, let's just make something cool.
Yeah, it's like a dream team. See what they come up with. Yeah.
Dustin, what was something that wasn't maybe a dream, because that'd be your class maker, but was something that was a great daydream for Chrono Trigger?
It was really hard to pick between these two for my classic maker. So my non-classic maker, but very, very close, is the pacing. The pacing of the story is so well done. Yeah, because in a lot of different RPGs especially, I would always feel like I just hit the brakes, and now we're in this area forever, and I have to do 1,000 things here. But in Chrono Trigger, it just keeps moving forward. You're never in one place doing one thing for too long. You're in the future, whatever. You're there for a little bit. You get Robo. You do what you need to do there. You move on, and you're always moving forward, and everything ties together, and it's all centered around Lavos, and it's so well written, and you feel that as you're playing through it. You feel it in the pace of the game, and I think any game, as good as it is, if it has amazing characters and music and graphics and whatever and gameplay, if it's not fun to keep playing, if you don't feel like you're making progress and want to keep going, then it becomes a slog, and it loses its charm. But the pacing is so well done in Chrono Trigger that I never get bored. I'm always hooked, and I want to keep playing, and I want to keep going. So I think they just nailed the pacing.
One slight addendum though I'll say is that it's not always moving forward. Sometimes you move backward in the story.
I mean, that's true.
No, just to add to what you're saying, Deucen, even it took me, I think, 26 hours to beat the game.
Wow.
And
it's something like that for me too, I'm sure.
I would say the experience though that I had coming out of it was that it was pretty much of equal value to like 80 to 160 hour long RPGs that I've played.
Oh, wow.
Even though it was such a short duration, the experience I got out of it was equal to that.
It's dense and rich with a lot of
yeah.
You know what, that makes me reflect on, like, I've recently been just watching a lot of older movies that I've never seen before, from like the 80s mainly, and even movies I'm familiar with from the 80s. So many times there's movies that can tell such a good story in like 90 minutes. It's like in and out, and it's like, it's a great story. You feel like you attach to the characters, you're excited about where they go. And it seems so often movies these days want to like get into like 3 hours or something for no real justification for it.
No, you need at least 8 1-hour episodes to get a good story in.
There was what was it? There was a Transformers movie, one of the newer ones that I almost walked out of the theater. It was just so ridiculously long and just so boring.
Yeah.
Bad.
Just come on. I feel like you can telling this succinct story, I think, is more challenging, and maybe that's why people don't go for it. But come on. But
one where you're still like seeing the entire history of this planet, meeting all these characters, and falling in love with them, and getting attached to this world and these people, and doing it without taking forever is they just nailed it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, then that leaves our classic makers, the things we loved most about Chrono Trigger. I'm going to start us off with, because pretty much this was Kitos's, one of your likes. And that's just how time can affect certain things. Like we talked about the characters. I especially loved, I think one of you was in my streams and told me to do this. I'm like, it might have been you, Paul, like to go to some of the treasure chests, like interact with them with the pendant, but then don't open them, and then go to the future, and then they're even more powerful, and then go in the past, and then you could open and get the lower grade version.
Right.
And so I'm like, that was that they had programmed that into a game. It just like really delighted me. I was just like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Of course, you open up this paradox of how'd you have it in the future then if you took it in the past, but I don't know how you can account for that, but I just really enjoyed that aspect. So that was my classic maker, the whole time component and how that could change. If you change things in the past, it'll change things in the future. Let's go to Aki.
Me,
what was your...
go to me.
Okay, Paul.
Because guess what?
Paul.
Mine's the same thing. Basically what you're talking about, like all the stories interacting, how it affects and changes. And it's and you can have different outcomes depending on what you do. It's fantastic.
Okay, anyone else that wants to interrupt that before I go to Aki now? Okay, Aki, what is your classic maker for Chrono Trigger?
You know, it's funny. Even though I knew you could do that, I would never do that just because of the fact I'm like, it would be like, I don't want to introduce a paradox, even though I can. Like, I didn't do that. No, but for me, the classic maker was the characters. Just the design of the characters, like the way that they were drawn. Because I've always loved Akira Toriyama's work. Dragon Ball Z, obviously in the '90s and everything. And the way that they all interacted and the relationships and the way they all came together. To save the world, literally. It was just a really, really special thing. So for me, the classic maker is absolutely the characters. And particularly, I was bullied in high school, and this is when I played this game, was when I was in high school. And so I really strongly identified with Frog, Glenn, who's cursed to be a frog. And so that's why I love his theme.
I was about to say that's why I love the theme. It all makes sense.
I just really identified with him as a character. And so it's absolutely the characters for me.
Yeah, I loved his story arc of he starts off as a squire, then his master. What's the name of his
Cyrus.
Yep. Cyrus dies, and he takes up the sword, and I just that was so great. I love it. I mean, the game would have been great even if it was just that story. But that is all like that is just a small part of this grander scheme. Was just amazing.
Yeah,
awesome. So the characters, I'm curious. Let's go around real quick. Aki, who is your favorite character, if you have one? Is it Glenn or the frog?
Frog, for sure, yeah. Frog would absolutely be my favorite character.
How about you, Deucen?
Man, it's really hard to pick just one.
I'm in the same
That's
right.
why this is the Retro Rewind podcast, where you make it just pick one.
Man, if I have to pick one, I'm probably gonna go Magus.
Magus.
Oh, really?
Very cool character.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes me want to go back and actually use
because
him.
that's my least favorite. I would have rather had his sister Shala in my team than him.
Shala's amazing.
Shala's-
I kind of combine them in my head.
Scala or
They're
is
a
it
pair.
Scala?
See, don't ask me. Apparently, I don't know how to pronounce any of these.
Yeah, STH. So I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, I go to Shul. I went there.
Yo, what is the deal with this game? They have so many names that are hard to pronounce. Like, no one pronounces them the same. Like Epic, Epoch, Marl.
I said Epoch. I said Epoch too. Yeah.
You say
I say
okay, me
Epoch.
too.
I said Epoch. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Epoch.
So
What was
much
your
fun
favorite?
in this game.
What was your favorite character, Paul?
I want to pick Chrono, but maybe it's Marl.
Okay.
Chrono's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I would pick Chrono just because I'd like that hero character that is like, he's the average guy.
He's
that,
a silent protagonist, right? So,
yeah. He
Average
is
guy
that
with
too.
sword skills.
Exactly, with the epic sword skills. But Kitos, how about let's end with you. What was your who's your favorite character?
Oh, man. I'm going to say Robo.
Yeah.
I like Robo.
Oh yeah, Robo's great. Absolutely. Okay, and Kitos, so that's your favorite character. What is your favorite thing about Chrono Trigger, your classic maker?
So that my answer of favorite character kind of ties into my classic maker, right? That's the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my classic maker, because Robo's story, like, it's not just his story, it's all the characters, like, I guess growth in their character. They each had like events that happened, and it kind of they grew as a person, each one of them, and they got something out of it. So like Robo, when he has to basically face down his own kind, right?
Yeah.
And you know, all that stuff, like the emotional turmoil in that is like crazy to think about. And so him having to do that, and then Luca,
then we try to interrupt and like help him out. He's like, no, don't hurt them.
No, like all the characters had stuff like that. Of course, Glenn as well. Like, they all had these emotional like arcs where they become, like, I guess, better human beings. Even Robo, who's a robot, and so it's rare to see a game do that. It's rare, even in good stories, to see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just rare in general. So, and then to have it across the board with all the characters. I mean, maybe even Magus has it. I just don't know.
Justin, what say you? What's his arc?
Magus's? Well, you should probably tell us, since it kind of ties into Chrono Cross.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to hear your perspective.
His is so interesting because, like, one of the new ending with the DS version is he loses his memory and doesn't know what he's there for, but he knows he was trying to do something, and he's like just wandering now, which ties into Chrono Cross.
Right.
But yeah, I love just like you see Magus as the villain for a while. Like, there's Lavos. You try to go to stop Magus because you think he's summoning Lavos, but you see it was inevitable anyway. Mm-hmm. But Magus has his own motivation in stopping Lavos. He's against Lavos too, but you see him as the big bad for a while, and you have this epic encounter with him and everything. And then it turns out he's just trying to figure out a way to stop Lavos too, to save Scala, whatever. I've always said
his sister.
And his family and all this. It's just, it's so cool to see that backstory.
I thought Shala was the daughter of the queen that goes crazy.
Queen Zeal.
And wait, sorry, is Magus?
And Janice is
Magus
the boy.
little sister. Yeah.
Janice is Magus?
Magus.
What?
Are you serious, Francisco?
Oh no!
I had no idea.
Not only do you
the whole thing.
talk to NPCs, you don't even talk to your main characters.
Especially in the Zeal Kingdom.
Story beat.
Yeah, when they're all getting dispersed, he gets sent to 600 AD, and what's his name? Ozzy picks him up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's how that whole thing comes back around.
Right.
Well, of course. Oh, Ozzy
all makes sense.
and Janice. Yeah. Of course.
My gosh. That's funny.
Yeah, dude. There's so much to learn in the Zeal Kingdom. If you go talk to everybody, that's where so much of the world just unfolds.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more in a bit. Deucin, why don't you give us your class maker though for Chrono Trigger?
So it's interesting. Like we've kind of hit all around it, and I thought Aki was going to say it for a minute when he said characters, but for me, it's just character. That the game has so much character.
Oh yes,
in every aspect of the game, there's just you can tell there's passion, there's heart. It's memorable. There's not one moment in the game where I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. Everything has character. Every character, you connect with, and it's just a lot of games. Like they may be this huge epic tale, and you go through this amazing story, and I saved the world and everything. But when I think about it, I just think of this epic thing that happened. But this game, I connect with. It's like I feel like I'm a part of this world because it has so much character.
The Matrix has you.
Yes, it does. Zeal has me. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool, Deucin. Awesome. Yeah. It definitely has that in spades for sure. But now it's time to get into the things we don't. Wait. Sorry, guys. I had something else I liked that I had to share. I know. You'd think after 10 years I'd have this in the notes or something. But no, I missed it. I missed the count. Here's one more thing I like, guys. The Untold Podcast. The Untold Podcast is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold Podcast at www.untoldpodcast.com to listen and leave them a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, that's great, Francisco. But what does the Untold Podcast have to do with Chrono Trigger?
So with a podcast, you can go back in time to when they originally recorded it to listen to that. And since it's been around for a while, it's like you're time traveling, and you time travel in Chrono Trigger. All right, there isn't much relation, Paul. Are you calling me out on it? Fine.
Yeah.
You got me. But how about some trivia about Chrono Trigger? Would you prefer that instead? Okay. Did you all realize that Yasunori Mitsuda, who primarily scored Chrono Trigger, slept in his studio several nights and attributed certain pieces, such as the game's ending theme, which is called Too Far Away Times, to inspiring dreams. So I'm assuming inspiring some of his dreams.
Okay.
Wow.
So and then Aki, I'd love to get more of your backstory on the composer and whatnot here in a second. But first, I want to hear your guys' answer to this trivial question. Are there any games you played that caused you to have weird dreams, or at the least caused Tetris effect when you closed your eyes? Tetris effect being you close your eyes and you're seeing the game in front of you. It's like you can't turn it off almost. So let's start with Kitos. What was games correspondent? What have you ever had a game inspire weird dreams?
Yeah, I mean, actually, pretty recently.
Okay. This very podcast has inspired weird dreams.
Yeah, I was daydreaming just now.
More nightmares.
Oh my god.
No, actually, I did have a nightmare. I was playing a game called Rainbow Six Extraction. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it.
I've heard of Rainbow Six, but
okay,
like Call of Duty.
No? Not really, but
sorry.
There are guns.
Is that who Janice turns into? He turns into Rainbow Six?
Isn't she with Chandler? No, wait.
Anyway, so what nightmare did this inspire?
Yeah, so in that game, there's this thing called the Sprawl, which is very similar to like Zergling Creep, if you know StarCraft. It's basically this like alien substance that just spreads and spreads and spreads all over, like rooms, crawls up rooms, like weeds. It's like weeds. You know. Anyways, so yeah, I was playing that game and there was like an event in it, and it was all about this sprawl like spreading everywhere. And so lo and behold, I was playing for a while with friends, and then it was like, I don't know, 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, I really need to sleep now. I go to bed, right? And I have a nightmare of the sprawl attacking like where I'm living and everything. I'm like, I'm fighting it there too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Let's go to Aki next. Any weird dreams or Tetris effects from a game?
Yeah, so this is going to sound real weird. But the one that did that for me, for reasons I don't understand, is it's a little indie game called FTL Faster Than Light.
Yes.
It's a fantastic game, but it can be a little bit rage-inducing. And I don't know if it just had anything to do with the fact that I played it when my daughter was first born, and I was just kind of sleep-deprived at the time. But for some reason, I would literally just dream about that game and like trying to make it escape the rebel faction. It was just haunted my dreams for a while. But it was great. It was a good game.
Awesome. Very cool. How about you, Dustin?
Yeah, from another one of my favorite games of all time, Chrono Trigger is my second favorite game of all time. But
Echo's the first. Sorry.
Yeah.
Echo the Dolphin. Yeah, I think we all know that. Yes.
Yeah, I've had plenty of nightmares from that. But
Subnautica is now
it's overtaken it,
I think.
100%.
Is there a Doom mod for Echo the Dolphin?
I hope so. I'd love to go through there and, oh man, just take care of dolphins. It'd be amazing. Give me the super shotgun with a bunch of dolphins. I'll be happy to do. No, but my favorite game is Ocarina of Time. And the dreams that I've had from that, or the answer to the question is from that. So whenever whenever the game first came out, I rented it for my 64, and I was, 8 years old or whatever, whenever it came out. And I remember the save file that was on there was had just gotten out of the beginning area, and it was in Hyrule Field. And whenever you run around at night, the Stalfos come out. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to figure out the game. And for those 2 days or whatever that I had the game, I was mostly just exploring Hyrule Field. And I was playing that area so much, and I was so like creeped out by the Stalfos and was killing them so much that I would have dreams that were just normal dreams, but Stalfos would come out of the ground just like in 64 graphics, and I'm like killing stupid Stalfos in my random dream. I'll never forget that. I had these very like realistic dreams with just Nintendo 64 graphic Stalfos popping out of the ground.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
That's actually the real world. This is the dream.
Before we get to Paul, some people from in chat says Earthbound, Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, Super Mario 64. Kingdom Hearts has done this to them. Final Fantasy. So several games have caused this type of thing. Oh, TMNT for Dale from the 90s caused some nightmares. So lots of things have done this. But Paul, let's end with you. What was something... has this ever happened to you?
All the time. In fact, I have to limit my video game playing because no matter what it is, whether it's Tetris, this game, Pac-Man, like I'll be driving down the streets and I'll be seeing dots and like, oh, I need to make a left here, and there's dots in front of me that I need to connect with. My gosh. Or I'll dream about it. Like it's frustrating, and of course the dreams are always frustrating. It's like you can't get what you need to get done. And it's so I have to but it affects me like whenever I binge watch anything. Like if I do it several nights in a row, I'll start dreaming about it. It's like it affects me all the time. So I purposely limit my video game playing for 2 reasons. One is because it affects like everywhere I go. Like I blink and I see the shapes and everything wherever I go, and my dreams. And secondly, I have to make income, and I can't because I can get so invested in these games that it's easy to ignore responsibilities. But so absolutely. Unfortunately, that's an easy answer for me. Is like, yes, any game. You give me Frogger, and I'll try to like, oh yeah, I need to hop on these cars to get over there to the other side of the street.
Nice.
And what about you, Francisco?
Oh, well, for me, very recently, I've been playing through this game called Blasphemous. And there's an item you get that will, if you're near a secret area or something to unlock, it'll start doing it sounds like a very subtle tambourine, and it'll get louder the closer you get. And I was just in the airport the other day, and I felt like I was hearing it. I'm like, what? Well, is there a secret I have to find somewhere?
Those were the Hare Krishnas.
Oh my gosh. So it's not really, it's more of a waking dream scenario with that, but that's the most recent one I've had.
Yeah.
So Yasunori Mitsuda, it was he did a lot of sound effects for Square Enix, right? He did for Final Fantasy V and a few other projects and everything. But he had gone to school for composition, and like that was his dream. It was what he wanted to do. And he literally went to his boss and said, either you let me compose music for a game or I quit.
Oh, wow.
And so they said, okay, you can compose music for this little game called Chrono Trigger. Give it a shot.
Nice.
See how you do. And it obviously went on to become one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time. So
yeah,
amazing.
Wow.
He had a dream to do music, and he made his music on dreams.
Yeah. Absolutely. And he actually, the reason Nobuo Uematsu was involved at all was because he worked so hard, he ended up hospitalized with stomach ulcers.
Oh, gosh.
So they brought in Uematsu to finish things up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Really, really
Craziness.
disciplined fellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh. Well, thank you for sharing that extra bit, Aki. That's amazing to know that so much dedication went into this. I feel like when you're getting to the point of getting stomach ulcers, that's a bit too much. You need to like back it off a little bit, but all right.
Well, maybe
too
lay
much
off the chili
passion in your
peppers.
passion project. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Great trivia, Francisco. And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Chrono Trigger.
All right. Drew Dodgen says, well, he left a gift that says side quests are important.
Yes,
Thanks
ding, ding,
for
wink,
that.
wink, Captain.
Oh
Kirkpatrick
my gosh.
Palace. Kirk says that.
Palance.
Yeah, that too. This was one of the greatest games ever.
No,
Story was fantastic.
It's Plaisance.
Plaisance. That's right. It's
That's
French.
right.
Oui, oui, ha ha.
Oh my gosh. Okay, continue. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yes. All right. Kirk says maybe I should read it in a French accent. With my outrageous French accent.
Oh my gosh.
This was one of the greatest games ever. Story was fantastic. Characters were great. The Final Fantasy / Secret of Mana-esque on the Rushmore SNES games, maybe even Rushmore of all systems. Distinct, I don't know what happened to the French accent, but anyway, distinct memory was me in my room grinding mid-high school years whenever I could find time between all the sports grades and social life. This is all I did for weeks.
Wow. Andrew Simpson says he remembers that I beat it 5 years ago using a controller that Francisco himself lent me.
What?
That I still need to return to him.
Whoa.
But it is perhaps one of the greatest RPGs ever made. I hope this comment makes the podcast. Haha.
Well, so far, maybe he's the D-pad destroyer.
Oh my gosh. There's only one.
Is there? Drake Tungsten says, I played it for the first time about 10 years ago. I think the DS version. I got about halfway through. There was a frog guy in it who was pretty cool, but I liked all the characters. Cave Girl, Robot, Princess, Nerdy Engineer Girl, and Chrono.
And Sean the Nekomas says, I remember when Francisco didn't talk to NPCs and found that talking to virtual people is still just as important.
Yeah.
Thanks, Neko. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your memories. But alas, it's time to get into things we don't like so much about Chrono Trigger. Let's spin up our
Worst clothes.
I was wondering what the other music was. And let's start with Dustin this time. What's something you don't like about Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, so even though I just praised the character and the pacing,
I hate the character and the pacing.
No, there is one area of the game that it does feel a little bit slow and like a slog to me, and that's the distant past. That's 65 million BC.
Yes.
I like Yeah, I like a lot of it. Ayla's one of my favorite characters. Like Magus, Ayla, and Chrono are usually my three. So I love Ayla. I love her character. Yeah. Charm is great. But like the dungeons there, they seem to take too long. I don't care much about the Reptite storyline, those kind of things. It's really interesting to see when Lavos gets there and all that, but that was the one part of the game that once I was done there, I didn't want to go back. I'm fine exploring the other places again, and I'm glad Ayla's with us now, but I don't have any desire to go back to 65 million BC. So once I'm done with that, then the only like little low point of the story itself is done for me. My first playthrough, I spent way too much time in that forest trying to collect the petals and the feathers to make the armor and everything. So I slogged through that so much that I'm the same way. If I bypass that, forget it. Like forget that quick side quest.
I think I remember reading that that part, the 65,000 BC or whatever, right, was actually they had cut content from it. So it was supposed to actually have more in there, but they ended up cutting it for production.
I'm glad it was going to even be longer.
Thank you, Dustin. Paul, what's something you didn't like? Was it you hate the character or the pacing of this game?
Not at all. Oh. But one of the things that I do hate, it was mentioned before, in the battle sequence, there is an options in the settings. There is there's a wait, and then there's the normal one. Active. Yeah. So whenever I put it on wait, I don't see any difference between wait and active, because when I put it on wait, I'm like, okay, good. Now I can find my strategy and look through the things, like my texts are like, what do I want to try? And while I'm looking through, they're still attacking me. I'm like, wait, this is on wait. You got to wait. Don't attack me. So every rendition I've played, the Super NES, every port I played, that wait doesn't really wait. Maybe they're waiting. They don't attack as often, but I wish it was like pause so I could like figure out, okay, what's my strategy here?
So wait only works when you're in a sub menu. If you're just in the main menu where I have to pick attack, tech, or item, time will continue to flow. But time does pause if you go into a sub menu if it's set to wait.
I don't understand.
Like if you're picking...
I don't like it. I don't like what I don't understand. At least I don't like getting hit when I think everyone. Wait, we're on a timeout. We're on a wait.
Yeah.
Well, so just to clarify, Paul, for when you go back to this, let's say you pick it. If you're picking between attack or tech, it's not paused. If you then go and pick, if you're in the tech submenu, if you're picking which tech to use, then it pauses.
I thought all right, I'll look again.
Okay.
I'll try that out.
You didn't know you were going to come into this and have homework, so there you go.
Yeah. I'll record. Oh, by the way, we didn't go over how we played. What platform we played this on. Okay. We usually do that.
I had mentioned I had played on Steam, but Paul, what did you play on? We'll just go real quick right here.
Yeah, I played it on the iPad iOS port, so I'll play it again, and I can do a video screen shot, and let's see if the wait and active works, like you say.
All right. How about you, Dustin? Where did you play it?
Well, I have it right here, but I didn't want to play on it. Yeah,
I'm not at home.
but I played it on emulator on my laptop, but I've got it right here. It's easier to take with me and keep playing.
Yes. Wait, did you emulate the SNES version?
Yes, the SNES. I've played multiple versions. I've played the DS.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
But
yeah. That's one of the things that I like about the SNES is where they call Glenn a marshmallow instead of a softie, and all the other ports after that, they don't call him a marshmallow.
Yeah, like I prefer the original text. Like all the other ones have improved translation, but I don't like the improved translation. I like the same way. Yeah, Frog talks in that old English. I like the oddities of it. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, my goodness.
I think the only game where they ever actually improved the translation was Final Fantasy VII, because the original translation for Final Fantasy VII was not good.
All your base belong to us. That's classic.
It was literally, there's a line where Aerith, you're in the slums, and Aerith goes, "This guy are sick." I'm like, wow. It's so bad. So bad.
Aki, what platform did you play Chrono Trigger on, though?
Originally or the most recently?
Most recently.
Most recently, I played it on Steam.
On Steam? Okay.
Yeah.
Same for me. Kitos, how about you?
Yeah, so I play it on Steam, but I play it on my Steam Deck.
Oh, nice.
I just want to say that is the way to play Chrono Trigger. It is literally the best experience, minus, of course, the text, like you're saying, Dustin and Aki. But other than that, like, yeah, it is. I have to say, it's the way to play it. Having it handheld like that, but with a big screen, is so nice.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, having that big screen, what was it very apparent that you disliked about Chrono Trigger? Let's give us your first dislike.
Ozzy.
Is that that's the guy that keeps running away from you and
yeah,
1,000?
Ozzy's in a pickle.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Ozzy guy. I don't know. Out of everything in the game, he just felt so he wasn't supposed to be there or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I just
he felt shoehorned in almost. Like we need a archetype for this. Let's just use this type of
he reminds guy. He reminds me of like failed comic relief, and it's like
okay,
just cut him, just get him out of there.
We don't need you anymore, Ozzy. All right, that's fair.
Go bite a bat.
Oh my gosh. Aki, what really bit for you about this game?
Well, I think for me, if I had to pick, the first dislike is sometimes the game is not super clear on where you're supposed to go next to progress the story.
Yeah.
So I remember, I think it was my very first ever playthrough. I got all the way until they sent you into the future. Mm-hmm. And then I got lost, and I couldn't figure out where to go, and I quit playing for a bit because I was
what sewer to go in next. And where.
I was just like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Turns out the bike race was after the portion that I was in, but I didn't know that at the time, and I just kept wandering around trying to figure out where to go next, and couldn't figure it out for a bit. So
that's hard.
It's a challenge.
That happened to games I play. I'm like, I'm so confused. I don't want to resort to a strategy guide, but I guess I will.
One of those quality of life things, that we take for granted as games have evolved is they do a much better job at, and it's a blessing and a curse, right? Some games do a much better job at hand-holding a little bit when you need it.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, I like the challenge in it rather than just being told exactly where to go all the time in some games. Others,
Yeah. Chrono Trigger is almost an open world kind of game, right? You can literally go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah.
Obviously it opens up more and more as you go on, but by the end of the game, I mean, you literally have an airship and can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
In fact, that's one of my favorite things to do is to see how far I can go in different places and what happens if, like at the very beginning, or as soon as you can cross the bridge, if I go down there to that part of the world, what are they talking about? I'm not supposed to be here yet. What are those interactions like? I like doing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
You mean the monsters where they don't like the humans if you go there at the beginning?
I'd say for me, something I don't like, and this isn't super fair to the game. I really just like that there's no Chrono Trigger anime, because when you play the Steam version, there's this whole anime intro, there's anime cutscenes. It's just, can you just give me an anime, Akira Toriyama, please? Please just give me an anime of Chrono Trigger. I would love to just experience this as a movie or even a series. I'd be fine with the TV series. That's fine too. But I think that'd just be
1 hour, 8 episodes long. Let's do it, Netflix. Come on.
Those cutscenes were introduced in the PSX version of the game, obviously.
Oh, okay. That's right. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I actually have the PlayStation disc that has Final Fantasy IV on it as well. And I'll never forget, because there was a significant section where it loaded the cutscene, so it took a second sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember being picked because I was a Super Nintendo. I'm not about to buy a PlayStation 1 just to watch those cutscenes, but I was ticked that they had that. I was like, come on. That's not fair. But I'm glad it's in the future ports.
Yeah.
Yes. But so it's silly. That has really nothing to do with the game. But I feel like they just whet our appetite for something like that, and they've never delivered. So,
speaking of future ports, I wish they had those cutscenes in HD now, not all pixelated. Like I'm watching the PS1. Like, come on,
that would be nice.
Really
you had animation cells, or at least it looks like it. Let's see it all in its HD glory. 4K, that baby. Let's go.
Exactly.
That's where the DS really shines, because it's that small screen, and it had the cutscene, so it doesn't look so bad. It looks really good on the DS.
Had the DS too, right? Now the DS is that the? I think I remember that's the one where you can like train monsters to fight each other, kind of like Pokemon style, right?
Yeah.
And that's not it. Yeah,
that was the
and
extra content that they added and unlocked towards the end of the game.
I was about to say, I don't think it's in any other ports, right?
Yeah,
it's in the Steam version.
I don't remember.
It's in the Steam version? Oh,
I don't remember.
I never came across it, but
yeah.
I thought you have to go out of your way to do it, but
you
I
really
never
do.
did it. It was not worth it.
Yeah, but it's another. If you like the game and you've beaten everything else, like
something else to do.
Yeah. Paul, what's something else you'd rather not do in this game?
All right. I don't, especially like your first time playing through. I think they designed the game this way, but it's like you're going along, you're traveling, you're losing life, you're using up all your MP, and just like right when you use up like almost everything, then you hit a save point and you're like, dang it, I could have saved up all my items and just restored everything right there. It's so frustrating. It's like it takes forever. This is before you get to the end of time where you can just like fill up on everything real quick. But like traveling through the caves and everything, and you're like wasting all your precious item MPs that you've been saving up, and you're using it on healing and things, and it's just like it's so frustrating. And it's like, oh, there's a save point and there must be a boss coming. Okay, that's what this is. Okay, fine. But it's frustrating. Like I wish that they had that a little more spread out along the way, a little more even.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that. I didn't really I don't recall experiencing that to a great degree, but I could see that being a frustration for sure.
Well, maybe I was about to say, you're not a fan of grinding or farming, right? Because I know for me, like grinding and farming, that's where I would like lose a lot of HP, and like I would use up all that there. Okay. So as I'm doing that, I wish there were more opportunities to refill my energy, or go find an inn that's close by, not when I'm like deep diving in the caves somewhere.
yeah I guess so this wasn't really a dislike I had or anything like that, but going off that point, Paul, I feel like with and this happens in a lot of games. I'm playing through Secret of Mana now for my SNES Quest streams, and this is the case there too, but I would prefer it when games, and modern MMOs do this a lot better, and it's even modern RPGs to some extent, do this a lot better, where they will, in order to get you ready for wherever the next boss is, they'll give you sub-quests to boost that experience. It's not just like, it's up to you to just go fight until you think you're ready and then go try that boss. Oh, you weren't ready quite enough. I guess you gotta go back and just grind some more. Yeah. I don't care for that. I'd rather there be like content that it gives me like those, you're saying, Aki, about like really like quality of life improvements, that game, things we take for granted now in games these days, where it does sort of that hand holds you in a very like you don't know it's hand holding you, and that it's getting you ready for that final boss. I
like that at the beginning they kind of did that when like in the fair you can go fight Gato, and yes, kind of like level up on that, and then go back to your house and like like go to sleep and get your energy like back and forth. But like a couple stories later, you don't have that safety net, or I guess,
yeah.
So anyway,
okay. Let's go to Aki next. What's something else you didn't like about Chrono Trigger, Aki?
So this kind of tied into some of the things that you guys were talking about in regards to like pacing and having to grind and so on and so forth. And I think that one of the things that the game didn't do very well was it didn't really encourage you to have a lot of character diversity. When you had a party that you liked, you could generally run with it. Problem is, if you decided you wanted to do any of the character side quests that required you to have that character all by themselves in a boss fight, I'm thinking Robo, it made that fight a lot harder than it maybe needed to be. And so all of a sudden now it's like, oh crap, I got to go back. I got to reload a save. I got to go grind this character up. I got to get them ready for this fight. And so that was it's a little bit of an annoyance.
That's
for me.
Part of the challenge of the game.
I guess so.
Most of these things you guys are saying for your negatives or any of that, I would honestly make them classic makers.
Whatever.
Love it. Some people hate it, some people love it. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Kitos, why don't you go ahead and give us something that we would all think is a classic maker, but you hate?
Oh, like wait, tragic maker? You want
just
maker?
Just something you just like.
Okay, yeah. It kind of goes alongside with what you were saying, Francisco. It's not really about the game, but I can't understand how this did not become a bigger franchise. Like, I know there's Chrono Cross, right? But that's about it.
Fantasy.
Like, across the board, this didn't like generate like an anime or like anything, you know? And it kind of boggles my mind because it's a great
It's
game.
so beloved, and I feel like it seems like it would.
Yeah, it's hard to find someone who doesn't like Chrono Trigger if they played it.
We've got some people in chat that have mentioned that's not their favorite, but
I feel like it's one of those games, like you said, it was a passion project, right? They brought a bunch of people together, they did the game, and then they all went back to Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, and they went back to their stuff that they work on, and it was fun. Chrono Cross never quite lived up to Chrono Trigger, in my opinion.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think there is something to be said also for like letting something just be what it is, not trying to capitalize on it. Just let it was a great thing, and we can always go back and enjoy it. There's ports for days, so. But
I want it on my Switch.
Oh yes, let's get a Switch version, please.
I can't believe they haven't done that. That is crazy to me.
I don't know.
Or brought him into the brawls, you know.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Super
cool.
Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chrono would have been a great character in Smash.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Even with the wooden sword.
So my next dislike goes off some, like you said, with the characters. Like for me, I thought there were too many party characters. I would have liked it because you get your party that you like, and then you're just sort of set. You just want to steamroll with them. You don't want to have to necessarily go back. And I feel like there's so many characters that I just didn't really care about. I just my main Chrono, Glenn or Frog, and Meryl. I just liked going with them. I didn't want to mess with anyone else. I just wanted to go with those three and be done. But there were things you couldn't.
They give you that freedom. Except for those other side quests, yeah. So I don't know. I felt like there's a few too many other other characters you could choose between. Another way to solve this is just let me have all the characters in my party when I'm fighting. Party?
You just let me, This, by the way, this is me speaking to RPG makers from the past. Let me have more. If you're going to let me have more than 3 characters, just let me have all the characters you're going to let me have on screen fighting. Why would someone hang back and be like, no, I think you 3 can handle this. I think you'll be okay. No, my whole party would be fighting whatever fight there is.
Because
they can't imagine that UI though. Yeah, but also like you would have like instead of a battle screen like this, it would be like this, and
they didn't have the technology to handle that back then.
That's right.
I don't care about technology to make it happen. Then fine. Then only give me 3 characters. That's fine. I'll live with that.
Well, they wanted to make it enrich the experience.
Yeah.
I think the what was the justification for it too? There was justification for it somewhere in the game.
Yeah, if 4 people if more than 3 people go through a time gate, then they end up at I forget the technical language they use, but
there was like an actual like plot explained reason why you could only have 3 characters, which was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that.
But then you could switch out your characters at any time. So
right, and someone has to keep the guru of time.
But one had to go back, and the other one had to come in.
Yeah, you had to decide who's going to stay with creepy old man. Yeah. At the light post.
Dustin, why don't you give us one more thing you just like before we get into the creepiest things that are treasure makers? But one more just like.
Yeah. One more thing that I didn't like is spoiler, I guess, the final boss. Lavos. Lavos is such a cool main enemy, and you hear so much about him, and he's teased, and you fight him that one time, and you're looking forward to it. Then you finally get to the fight, and it's this awesome fight, but then like
this is not my final form.
Yeah, and it does it multiple times. Like, what the heck? Like the first part I can kind of get, like it changes phases from different fights you've had. That's kind of cool. You have to remember what your strategies were. But then after you beat that form, then you just go inside and you fight another form. And then once you beat that, you fight another form. And like, okay, I'm exhausted by the end of it instead of relieved or victorious.
Apparently, Dustin, what you're telling me is you don't like the Frieza saga. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, just
likes
give me Frieza in the chair. Yeah,
nobody likes the Frieza saga because we were all promised Super Saiyan Goku, and they never dubbed it for like years.
Yeah, that's right. They kept going to Raccoon and then go back to Raditz. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my goodness.
Forever and ever and ever. But yeah, that was it. It's like so much momentum in the stops.
Yeah, I was about to say the character design of it is kind of lackluster. The final form.
I will say that though, I thought it was impressive how there are all these new effects and moves that the final bosses had throughout all those forms. I'm like, wow, even at the end, you're still like giving me new stuff that's like all dazzling.
Strategies to take it down.
So
the nice thing was at least it was a difficult fight. It was challenging.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you had to be on your toes. You had to keep thinking, which was the only thing that kept me engaged. But like from a lore and story and design and everything else, I was just like, these guys look stupid. I don't want to kill these things. Whatever. Some goofy looking thing with 2 pods.
I didn't think of it until just now. The final form doesn't look like the character design doesn't look like any of the other characters. Like it's like a different artist created it.
Yeah, it's some weird sock monkey goober looking thing. Yeah,
with the eyeball hanging down. Yeah.
Weird.
I think that's the point, though, right? It's an alien. It's a complete alien, not from this world.
But it doesn't look like it well, yeah. I was about to say it doesn't look like it belongs in this world.
It has Ozzy syndrome.
Ozzy syndrome.
Yeah, I think the funniest part is that the real final boss is the little probe.
Yeah, one of the little pods.
It's just like
it's on one of the pods. It's not even both the pods. No, it's just one.
It's not even the main one in the middle. No,
not even the sock monkey. It's a pod.
Well, sock monkeys aside, let's get into things we hate most about Chrono Trigger, our treasure makers. And I'm gonna kick us off. Y'all been waiting a while for it, and I will say this: having to talk to every last NPC. It's just so aggravating. I need some distinction about the NPCs that I definitely have to talk to versus the ones that you could talk to if you just want more lore and more story fleshed out.
Play the game through 20 times and you know which ones to talk to and which ones not to. Wait, what was that, Paul? I was talking. Play the game 20 times, beat it, and then you'll know which one.
That is not an answer. That's not an answer.
Sure it is. That's how it builds the world. That's what makes it so enriching.
Francisco, when I'm trying to stream this game and not be on it for a year, I need to know what NPCs to talk to and which ones not to talk to.
Oh, Francisco, you want it to fit in your little puzzle hole.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
I also want all my party members to be able to attack at once. What were you guys say, Kitos?
Wait, have you heard all the dialogue? How did you not know who Janice was?
He didn't. He's
I
like,
did. That's the
whatever.
point.
Next.
That's what I'm saying. How did you not know?
Your tragic maker is that you're impatient?
Yep.
This isn't about me. This is about Chrono Trigger.
Oh, I think it's very much about you and what you don't like.
Because it would be nice if there were ways to know where the NPCs were. That I mean, I get that you have to talk to NPCs, but there are so many across so many times, and if I didn't have people in streams helping me, it'd be very easy for me to just be like to have just thrown the towel and just not known what to do. Now, I will say, after Paul got on me about talking not talking NPCs, after other people in stream got on me about that, I did start just talking to everyone, and I've been doing that in Secret of Mana and other games I've been playing, and it is a much more rewarding experience. I will say that.
Yeah.
I guess I was
through 2 times. You experience character growth by
exactly
the characters.
Chrono Trigger put me on an arc for that. Yes. So
wow. Not many games can.
That's why this one's so special. But
that's your tragic maker is that it made your character grow.
It made you a better person.
Yeah, how dare it make you a better person?
It's the worst game ever.
But so seriously though, I wish there was a way to tell the NPCs you had to talk to and the ones you could just talk to. Anyway,
there is.
Okay,
play it 20 times. I'll tell you what, if you play it 10 times, you probably figure it out.
I want to know it before having to play it 10 times. Anyway.
Well, that's what a strategy guide is then.
Aki, I'm very curious what your tragic maker is, since you said it's going to be hard to pick one. If you need to go off of my NPC rant, you're more than welcome to.
No. Actually, Dustin kind of touched a little bit on what my actual tragic maker was. So the thing that I've run into, the issue I seem to consistently run into the first time I play through this game before New Game Plus or anything else, I always get to Lavos underleveled. And it always makes the fight harder than it needs to be. So I always have to go back and grind more than I would like to, or prep other party members or other strategies so that I can actually get through. And it's not the outside. The outside's easy. It's once you go inside and you have to fight the multiple forms. That fight is so long and it's so easy to get one shot, not careful. Like your whole party will just get wiped out by his group attacks and everything.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's over and it's like, oh man, I've been in this fight for 30 minutes and I got to start it all over again.
Yeah.
So it's the difficulty spike of that end fight is a little much if you're not prepared for it.
Absolutely.
What are you agreeing with him, Francisco, for? Because you beat it your first time through.
Did I save it there? Or did I not? Did I just?
No, you didn't stay. I watched it. You got the first time this man got to Lavos, he beat him. That was incredible.
High five.
Awesome.
High five.
Without talking to NPCs. That's right.
Am I a little jealous? Yes.
How much help did chat give though?
They helped a lot. Like Paul was telling me, oh, don't forget about these lightning attacks or something. Have this armor on. People were helping me for sure. So it wasn't just me.
But I agree with you, Aki. It is a challenging fight. Like, when you first get there.
Was it so challenging that it was your tragic maker as well, Paul, or was it something else?
No. One of the great things about this vast world is that there are some places you can go where there's some like secret hidden treasure chests, like behind pillars and things that you can open up. What's frustrating is that because of my grinding and everything, by the time I open up that chest, it's like a weapon that would have been helpful 2 stories ago, and now it's underpowered, and it's like, and it's hidden here. It's like, look, this is an amazing find. You should have things hidden in this game that you can't find anywhere else. Like, you can't buy it at a market. You can't buy it. Like, they should have more weapons in here. They have these great hiding spots, but they're underpowered by the time that you find them. So I wish that they had unique, more powerful things. I think it would have made the game more unique and better for that.
Yeah,
so that was frustrating.
And give extra value to people that would replay it and like find those things.
Yeah, and when you find those, it makes it even more valuable. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's go to Dustin next. What was your tragic maker for Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, so mine's kind of in line with, but kind of the opposite of what you're saying, Aki. Is while a few battles are a difficulty spike, overall the game isn't too difficult.
But it allows you to get all 14 endings or however many there are now.
And it's like it's a double-edged sword because especially like you get through the first playthrough, you might have a couple tough fights. Like Magus is a difficulty spike. Lavos's final forms are a difficulty spike. Zeal can be a little tricky. Like there's a couple of difficult fights, but especially once you get through your first playthrough and you go into New Game Plus, the difficulty doesn't change. Like you just go through and stomp everything. And so like
especially when you start off with the rainbow sword.
Yeah, like if you're just
it doesn't feel like
out,
there's much of a point in New Game Plus if the New Game Plus is not more challenging than the new first game.
The only reason is for the endings. So it's I mean it's kind of fun, like, oh, look how easy I can one shot, the robot dragon thing at the, whatever after the trial, and all these like easy things you just fly through, and it's kind of fun for a minute. But if you're trying to get all 13 or whatever endings, it becomes tiresome after a while.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I've tried to get to level 99, and I've gotten all like the endings on my way, but I just get bored of it after like my 20th time through, that I just never make it to there. So I can't platinum it out because I get bored with it. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So I've always wanted to get Ayla's gold fist, iron fist, whatever the top one is. I can't remember, but it's like you have to be level 95 or something like that. Super high level, and I've never quite got there.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I understand. Your Treasure Maker is the New Game Plus isn't more challenging?
Well, just the difficulty of the game overall, but it especially shines in New Game Plus.
Okay.
I would agree, and that's why the difficulty spikes are so annoying. Like the game itself is relatively easy.
Yeah, like you never really die just in general gameplay or dungeons or anything.
Grind
except
at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of tough fights along the way, but
awesome.
I mean, even if you die, you just use a Chrono Trigger and you're good to
go. Well, you also need a exact replica of yourself too. It's not just the Chrono Trigger.
Oh, so has anybody got all the dolls of them, all of their party? Just curious.
There's a doll for every single person in the party?
Oh my gosh, Francisco. No. Hey, Francisco, do you know you can get more cats?
What? Cats?
Yeah, there's a cat inside Chrono's house. And if you go into the fair where you get the Chrono doll, depending on who you play with, you get dolls of whoever you play with after you get the Chrono doll.
Oh.
So, and they all wind up at their house. Like you can go to the castle and see Marl's doll and everything.
Oh, okay.
So the hardest one, you get cat and more cats. And so the lowest one, you get cat food, and you have to go back and keep getting cat food. Otherwise all those cats go crazy.
Okay. I did not know that, Paul.
Oh, I've gotten 4 cats, but I was just curious if anyone else. I never went through and played Gato so many times that I could get dolls of everybody. I just got tired of it. I was just wondering if anyone else here had.
No, I've never done that.
You learn something new every day with Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
It's very. Well, why don't you teach us one more thing, Kitos, with your Treasure Maker for Chrono Trigger?
Yeah. So I accidentally beat the game. I did not intend to. Right?
I turned it on and it was beat. How'd that happen? So strange.
So this could have been my error, right? But
so when you first went to the end of time, you just went to the bucket and you're like, all right, I'll try it. Let's see. Up, down, left, right, BA. Lava's dead. All right. No, what happened?
So the giant ship that comes out at the end, right?
The black,
the Black Omen.
The Black
Omen, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I was thinking, I would, based on what they had said, the dialogue, I understood it as I need to go basically beat the Emperor lady, right?
Yeah.
Then after I beat her, then I need to go and beat Lavos. Right?
Yeah. And then that's where I die. It's my first time around through. So that's cool if you did it.
Yeah, no. So I went to the Black Omen thinking, okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and beat the Emperor lady, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, right, I basically I guess you could say beat her, but really I just went straight into the Lavos fight. It was really like, I don't know. It's strange
game
to me.
Glitch? How did you went and fought Lavos before fighting the Queen?
No, I got to the Queen and then it went into the Lavos like cave area.
Yeah.
It was really weird like that. Yeah.
Wait. The first time?
You got me.
Yeah. So when you get to the end of the Black Omen, doesn't she portals you down to Lavos, right? And you fight him
Yeah, that didn't happen. I just went into her room and then went into Lavos's cave.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was like, this doesn't seem right.
You got a hacked version on your Steam Deck there.
Put in the cheat code.
Your Steam Deck does something to make games.
You got a Steam Deck? All right, you're gonna fight Lavos now.
No, I went in. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I'll fight Lavos. I fought Lavos and beat him. I was like, oh, game over. I'm like, wait a second. I still had side quests I wanted to do. The whole thing was very weird to me. Yeah.
Maybe you were too powerful, and the game was like, "Yeah, you can handle this."
Okay, that's a strange Treasure Maker Kidos, but all right.
Yeah, I mean that was
That's like going like, I got to the second level of Mario, and there was Bowser, and the princess was there. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I eventually went back and played again and got the real fight. And I was like, okay, this makes way more sense now.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we have entered now all our trajectories into the firing computer, but before we get to our final reign, first we're gonna take a side quest here, and just do a little celebratory thing about this being our 10-year anniversary episode. Woo-hoo! Thank you, Kitosaki and Deucin, for joining us for that. Thank you, Paul, for these last 10 years. We have some people that sent in some messages just saying, hey, congratulations on 10 years. So we're going to play those now. Oh, and I will, I'm going to bet now, yes. So this one.
This is Deetston. Congratulations on 10 years. I hope you'll go at least another 5 years so you can review your own reviews.
Thank you, D-Tungsten.
10 years or older.
Hi, Francisco and Paul. Mike Fraley here. I wanted to wish you, on behalf
Mike.
of myself and my other two co-hosts at the Geek at Arms podcast, a happy 10th anniversary. It is too hard to nail down just one fond memory after so many years of amazing episodes and quality content, but we especially enjoyed hanging out with you when we were recording for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
It's great that you have a show that has such a fantastic formula, so many enjoyable episodes and guests, but it's also great to know that there's a show out there that's just run by two amazing guys. So happy anniversary, and here's to another 10 years of great content.
Hey, Retro Rerun Podcast. Congratulations on 10 years. This is Ashley Ruiz, formerly APK1186, and I am here to share my favorite episode, and it just happens to be the episode that I was featured on as part of our wedding celebration, The Wedding Singer. It's one of my favorite movies, and it was just such a wonderful time to be able to record that with you and Paul and have just such a fun time. And this podcast has meant so much to me since discovering it just over 3 years ago. It has been wonderful being able to share memories and interact with the community and just be a part of something bigger. Thank you for these last 10 years, even though I haven't been here for all of them, and here's to the next 10. Congratulations, guys.
Happy 10 years, and congratulations on your big anniversary. This is Nekomata, 76, or Sean the Drakunyan, your favorite yokai vampire cat. Yeah? So proud of finally meeting y'all.
Hello, this is Dale, wishing Francisco and Paul a happy anniversary. As a podcast, I like y'all's camaraderie. As a stream, I like how you, Francisco, embraced the chat, how you enjoyed talking with all of your audience and getting to know them as a community. That's really all I got to say. And thanks for letting me be a part of it. Happy 10. Later.
Hello, my name is Celeste Mora. I am from Geek Devotions, and I am speaking at the moment for both Dallas and I. And our favorite memories, we have two, one for each of us, but we both have the favorite ones, is the first one is that there was this random guy who came onto one of our videos and said, hey, you have some misspellings and some grammatical errors, and we were very thankful. The second one is during the last action hero episode, Dallas hit the link to watch and ended up joining. And so he was grilling burgers while making an appearance on the Retro Rewind podcast.
I'm Kenneth then. 10 years? Are you kidding me? 2012 was my daughter graduated from high school. Who even knew about these people, okay? But it has been a fun ride since I have found out about them. This is the best podcast ever, hands down. I tried to copy them. And guess what? The best episode, or the worst episode, how you think about it, the ones I'm on, but also Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I can't believe you've been catching us like a Pokemon for 10 years.
That's awesome. Well done.
Hey guys, this is Stephen Forrester, and congratulations on 10 years of the Retro Rewind podcast. It took me almost that long to learn how to say that properly. Congratulations. I'm excited for you guys. I was first introduced to your show about 3 or 4 years ago through another podcast, actually, when you guys were guest hosts on That Story Show. And I loved everything about that show. Loved you guys' attitudes and your style and your humor and your Christians and the movies you talked about. And I thought, yeah, this sounds like something I want to check out. So I went over and started listening to our show. And as far as my favorite memories are concerned, I would say my favorite is probably when I've been on your show a couple times. Been able to guest host with you a couple times. And probably my favorite of those would be the Batman Beyond episode. That was real dream come true for me. I enjoyed that. So congratulations on 10 years of your show.
That was
Thanks,
great.
Paul.
That was a fun one. Oh, Steven's great.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for sending us your memories, and so glad to have been here for 10 years and to make a show that whether it just brings you. I pray nearly every time before I do this show that whoever listens to it would experience joy, whether they listen to it live or listen to it afterwards. And we say at the end that we hope you're more joyful today than when you first hit play. Yeah, so
that's right.
Thank you, everyone who's listened, all your rewinders. So fantastic being able to be a part of this with y'all.
And if this is your first episode, you have 10 years of catching up to do. Come on, let's
go back. Start now. And now is the time when, Paul, we're going to do this drawing for the posters. Paul, are there any memories you have from the last 10 years that you thinking back on, you're like, oh man, I would like to share this, or this was a fun memory, anything like that?
You know what I think is amazing is that there was a movie we reviewed. It was like within the first 10, 20, 30 episodes that we did that still keeps coming up.
I'm getting better. No, you're not. You're stone dead in a moment.
Not a Python in the Holy Grail. I don't know why, but it's great. I don't know why. Some things stick and some things are like, oh wow, did we cover that? But it's amazing how some things like that stick.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Really.
So be it.
You know what it's been? It's
a blessing from the Lord.
Oh my goodness. Kitos, you've been around with us since episode 5. Any fun memory you have?
Oh man, I mean, there was a time I actually went up and visited you, and we played Mario Kart. Like,
yes,
actually there. That was fun. Let's see what else. Man, we've covered a lot. Yeah, because
we were playing we were playing Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart while we recorded the episode, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where we try different things. 10 years of experience, we try different things. Some things work, some things don't. And I think playing the game while we were reviewed it just didn't work out as cool as it sounded. Like the concept sounds good, but the actual realization of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Pastor Dewson, because I know he's listened a few times, if he has any memories. And Aki, you're welcome to too. I don't know if you've listened to the podcast much, so you're welcome to add a memory too. But but Dewson, do you have any memories from the podcast?
Yeah, I think I'd have to say the previous episode that I was on was a lot of fun, where we talked about Castlevania 2. I had never played that game before our review,
really?
So that was the game that got me to play that that was the show that got me to play that game. And Castlevania is one of my favorite game series. So being able to play the one that I'd always heard, is this black sheep and not very good, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I ended up really enjoying it. And we had a great conversation about it. And I loved it. I'm grateful for that experience. And now I have another game under my belt, one that I think fondly of and enjoyed playing.
I think that's the first game review on Retro that I met you at, Houston.
I think so.
Oh, was it?
I think so. Yeah.
My favorite memory of you guys' show was I remember this was a while ago, but I was looking for something to listen to when I was on a road trip for work, and I had pulled Twitter. I was like, "Well, send me links to your podcast," and you posted yours. And out of all the podcasts I listened to, the Karate Kid episode that you guys did, that was one I listened to all the way through, and I really enjoyed it. It was really, really great.
Oh, yay.
I was back when Cobra Kai was first coming out and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Cobra Kai. We're going to go ahead and spin this. Here we go. Good luck, all. Who will win? It will be
No Shot.
Hockey and Van.
Nice.
Congrats.
All right.
So DM me your address and I'll mail it out to you.
You got it.
Indeed. Awesome. Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing the love with that. Thank you, everyone who's been a part of the Rewinders. It's so, again, I feel like I gush about you guys all the time. I'm so thankful for all of you and really appreciate each and every one of you, except for that one guy.
One guy.
Not him. I don't appreciate him. Now that we've gotten to enjoy some 10-year reflections, and thank you all. It's so awesome. I know I sort of put you all on the spot with sharing, but thank you so much for sharing, and everyone who's sent in their audio messages. For now, we're going to get into our final reign of
Chrono Trigger.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
All right, the moment of truth is, do we rate Chrono Trigger? A classic. We recommend anyone go play this game, whether or not you've played it before. A nostalgic, if you enjoyed playing it growing up, it's definitely worth to pick up again, maybe get a new port of it or whatnot. Or if you have the original cart like Dustin or anyone else, then yeah, definitely play it. But if you've never played it before, just pass on it. Or is it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time today, whether or not you've played it. And if you have played it before, don't sully any good memories of it with a replay. So let's start with Aki. What is your final reign for Chrono Trigger? Having predicted classic, did it stay a classic or move?
Absolutely a classic.
Oh,
absolutely!
Good. I'll still send you the poster then.
No debate, no question. It is my number one of all time. It is still my number one of all time. So,
wow. Like your favorite game of all time?
Hey, Chrono Trigger is my number one. Absolutely.
Yeah, forget Solitaire. It's awesome. All about Chrono Trigger.
What? No, this is Minesweeper's way better, Paul. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. That just begs the question, Aki. What is your second favorite game?
My second favorite game is more of probably nostalgic, but it's Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
Cool. The remake or the original?
I like the original better, personally. And not that the remake doesn't have its own merits and doesn't stand well on its own 2 feet.
But you prefer the original.
It's a different game. The original is fantastic.
Very cool. Let's go to Dustin next. What is your final reign, Dustin?
I got to give it a classic.
Tragic. That's surprising. Okay.
I know. You didn't see that one coming, but no, I got to go classic. Okay. I think even if you've never played it, especially with like so many games that are coming out now are, taking that like pixel art style and whatever, like you think about the Octopath Travelers and things like that, the 2D HD and whatever. Like this game, it feels like it could have been made now and still just be as good. That's
true. I didn't think of it like that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Right. So I'd say if you've never played it, it lives up to the hype. Go play it. You will love it.
And speaking of that, I so often will see like like games will tout themselves as this is the next Chrono Trigger, inspired by Chrono Trigger, a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger.
Right.
Like, this is like the standard, for so many people, for sure. Kitos, you had predicted nostalgic. Did it shift at all for you, or did it stay nostalgic?
Oh yeah, no. Playing this, I'm reminded of how good it is, to the point where, this is not nostalgic. This is not tragic. This is classic. Whoa. Literally, everyone should go play it.
Wow,
everyone now.
If anyone asks me for a game recommendation, whether they're someone who's never played a game or someone who plays all the games, right? Go play Chrono Trigger.
Very cool.
Its story is more gripping than most games I've played. It's combat and strategy and everything just culminates into an epic experience, and then twist it all into time travel, and it's just like your mind can go so many places playing it.
Yeah. I'm curious. This is gonna be a question for all of you. If someone doesn't like RPGs, do you think they would still enjoy this game at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
I don't know. Who doesn't like RPGs, and why not?
They must not be human.
I'd say yeah, because it doesn't fall into a lot of the same problems that most RPGs have, like the random battles, like the excessive grinding, like the slow pace. It fixes a lot of those issues.
Yeah.
So even if you don't like RPGs much, I think you'll enjoy Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I think this game is more of a cinematic experience where you kind of choose what happens in the movie.
Yeah,
it's really a choose your own adventure.
Copyright, choose your own adventure.
All right, let's go to Paul next. Predicted classic. Did it stay a classic, Paul? Okay, that was easy. I thought you were saying yes, it was a classic.
Yeah, it is. It's a classic. Okay. This is my second time going through and beating and completing all the endings. It still holds up. I got to thank my brother, Josh Powers. When this game first came out in the SNES, it was like a super expensive game, like one of the most expensive games at the time. And he saved his money and he got it. I'm like, why do you want this so much? It's so expensive. He's like, oh, it's getting good reviews. I'm like, yeah, but is it worth it? And then we played it and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad he got it. I didn't have to spend my money, but I have spent my money since on different ports like the DS and such. And I've played through it. It's a fun. Now this is a standard that I judge other RPG games by for me. So this has like all the characters, the story. I recommend it. Yeah, classic.
Classic. For me, it's probably no surprise that those NPCs really dragged down this game so much that I would have to rate it not tragic. This is definitely a classic. I'm not. It wasn't that bad. No, it was close. It is close. You almost bridged too far, NPCs. But I had a lot of fun playing this game. It was a really great game.
This was your first playthrough, you said, right?
My first playthrough, yes. And I honestly want to go back and now like see where that moment is where I find out Janice is Magus. I'm like, oh, because that sounds like a really cool thing to me. You guys say that. And so all these elements that I missed, I definitely want to go back and replay through it to experience those. So, definitely classic for me. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Chrono Trigger a unanimous classic game. We recommend anyone go play this, whether or not you've played it before. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back. But we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1995 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, Chris Cowan, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, Pastor Juicin. Oh, you're right here. Kennethan, Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Baba, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapperman Reviews, Tony from the Retro Days, Mr. Lost, Gerald Hafner, Rosie, in addition to 7 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
All right. So because it's our 10th anniversary episode, I invited a special guest to come on for this next part.
Oh, Brandon Singer?
Hi, everybody. I told you I'd be back. And I'm here to tell you something very important. This stream is sponsored by pauljpowers.com. Now, hasta la vista. See? I've been practicing my Spanish, unlike Captain Francisco here.
That's pretty hilarious.
That is so funny.
Oh my gosh.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we also want to give a big
Gato
hug. Oh, Gato hug, sure. I was Chrono because it's time, but a very timely hug to our the people who came on to help us review this game. So go around and I like to go alphabetical, so we'll start with Aki. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Sure. You can find me. We stream 4 days a week on Twitch, twitch.tv/AkiandFam. Aki and Fam on all social platforms.
And we'll see the Chrono Trigger poster on there, right? And you'll tell people where you got it?
Absolutely. Oh, cool. It's going to go up in behind me. But I regularly play. I played through Chrono Trigger with my kids earlier this year. So yeah, it was really, really, really fun to share that with my kids. And so we do a lot of gaming with our kids on that stream, and it's all very focused on redeeming the family and just showing that there can be a place on Twitch and other platforms that is a light and a place where people can come, have their kids on in the background and not worry about the content that's streaming through the TV. So but we're working on getting ready for the next Destiny 2 expansion coming in February. So a lot of stuff surrounding that. So very excited.
Very cool. Thanks for being here, Aki.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And next we'll go with Dustin, Pastor Dustin. How can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Yeah, so you can find me anywhere online at Pastor Dustin. I stream on Twitch 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I stream 5 hours, and we do a Bible study, and then we have a time of prayer, and then play games. I'll be playing Pokemon Scarlet. I've been playing a lot of that over this Thanksgiving break whenever I've had time between travel and family and lots of good food and all that kind of stuff. But so I'll finally be playing that on stream starting next week on Tuesday. But also we like I said, we do those Bible studies, like to ask interesting questions and dive deep on that and do it as a community. And so we'll be doing that again this Tuesday. Love to see you there. And if you'd like to see some of the past content that we've done, some of the past studies and things like that, and even some full retro game playthroughs, because retro games are my favorite. You can see them, or no, you can't see them behind me, but I've got like the Super Nintendo, the 64, the NES, the Genesis, all that kind of stuff behind me, and stream a lot of those games. You can see full playthroughs. Oh, there they are on the shelves. But you can see some of those full playthroughs over on YouTube, youtube.com/Pastor Dustin. You can find all those previous studies and some game playthroughs that we've done.
Very cool.
Very cool. Thank you, Dustin, for coming back.
Yeah. And finally, our official game correspondent. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us with these games for 10 years. Cool Deluxe. How can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on for 10 years now. Wow. But people can find me on Twitter at Cool Deluxe. That's at QOOLDELUXX. That's usually, if you need to contact me, you can contact me there. Nothing at the moment to announce, but maybe something pretty soon.
All right. Let's keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
That's what we call a cliffhanger, I guess. Or no, more of a tease, not a cliffhanger. What's going to happen next? But thank you so much, Aki, Dustin, and Kitos, and my awesome time-traveling friend Paul, and all you rewinders, new and old, for another fun voyage.
You're welcome, and you can find me, pauljpowers.com, always at pauljpowers.com.
And you can find me on our Discord at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord for show announcements or just to say hi.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
And as Nathan just said, I don't know who Nathan is. I don't know where he came from. Actually, no one told me. So
it's Nathan James Norman, Paul.
Oh, that Nathan. Okay.
Wow.
As he just said, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and even geekery at culturebox.media. And with that, Captain, we are on final approach to base. If the Epoch doesn't beat us there already, where Salva Authority is hopefully given to us.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Excellent. And thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we got to catch you all for Serenity, our next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega. Return to base.
Serenity now! 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 Serenity now!
Wow. I'm like, what does this have to do with Chrono Trigger? Oh, Serenity.